Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we begin, I would like to give a shout out to my Patreons. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping us build community. And for everyone listening who hasn't joined us on Patreon, please do. We could always use more support. We're trying to get somewhere and we are not close to where we want to be. And for those who are not able to right now, we understand. Times are not easy. But you can also still support by subscribing, sharing, liking, and giving 5 stars, especially on iTunes and other podcast platforms where you listen at. So, enough of that. Let's jump to today's guest. Oh, one more thing. We also have t-shirts available at vetclothing.com. It's also another way you can support the podcast and help us move forward. So, I have to jump to today's guest. I have a very special brother in the studio. He's an IT professional, an entrepreneur. He has a business in which he's in partnership with his brothers. He's a father, just like me, but on another level of fatherhood because he has more experience than myself. And at the same time, he's working on his doctorate at Columbia University. So I need to know how he makes out time for everything because this guy's like he got some super juice in him that he's able to spread his time everywhere. But without much further ado, welcome to the podcast, Sekou Cox.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Welcome, brother. How you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Glad to have you. So let's begin. Can you introduce us to where you were born and what your childhood was like?
I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, small island in the Caribbean. And I grew up in an area called Laventille. Laventille, which is a pretty rough area in Trinidad. And we ended up in Laventille because my grandparents actually migrated from St. Vincent, which is an even smaller country in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So them migrating to Trinidad actually was a big economic step up for them. And, I come from a family where my grandparents were all illiterate. So when they got to Trinidad, one of their big goals was for all their children to go to school, which eventually happened for them. Yeah. So I grew up with my dad and my grandmom, and I had 6 uncles and 1 aunt. Yeah, so it's a very big family. And then I have 5 brothers. So one big family in Trinidad. Yeah.
Well, you're able to have a number on the uncles and aunts. People like the Nigerian system. I don't have a number of uncles and aunts because they just keep increasing and decreasing and increasing and decreasing. So it's just like that's your uncle, that's your aunt, uncle, aunt.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that just got me curious because I've had another guest from Trinidad and Tobago on the podcast. Actually, I've had her and her sister also, and her family has one part of her family migrated from Venezuela. So it seems like Trinidad and Tobago attracts migrants from other nearby countries.
Yeah, we are one of the biggest economies in the Caribbean. So a lot of these smaller islands, they gravitate towards Trinidad for business purposes. Yeah, I think back in the day, there was more tourism, but, our economy is based a lot on natural gas.
Yeah.
So it is, very business-minded compared to some of the other Caribbean countries that mainly sustain on tourism.
Okay.
So I'll say probably Trinidad and Jamaica as the 2 largest economies. So again, we have a lot of migrants coming from Venezuela and the smaller islands around here.
Wow. So that's something I never thought about because when my previous guest mentioned Venezuela, I just assumed, Venezuela is not far away. So yeah, that made sense. But now that, you've mentioned the economy and the fact of how big it is and, being attractive to the neighboring countries, it makes sense to me now why it attracts and why it's a major pull to everyone there. So in terms of diversity, it probably changes the population and the area you grew up in, so you had a different exposure to diversity.
Well, yes, not like diversity in America. So
Yeah.
the history of Trinidad was the triangular slave trade, where the slaves came from West Africa. And then when slavery was abolished in 1838, I think it was in Trinidad, 1834, they started the indentured laborship with Indians. So, the main part of that ploy was to ensure that black people had no ownership of land, So
Yes.
after they abolished slavery, they just wanted to ensure that black people didn't have a chance to rebuild themselves, which is probably the same history throughout the Americas. So the indentured labor was when they brought in a lot of Indians. And because of that, Indian people have a lot of land ownership in Trinidad. And I think about 10 years ago, the Indian population officially crossed to be more than 50% of Trinidad population. So interestingly, the majority of people in Trinidad are Indian descent. And, our population is only 1.2 million people, but it's now majority Indian as compared to African. So diversity for me was the race relations between black and Indian, similar to how it is between black and white in America, because the Indians do still control a lot of land and a lot of economic resources in Trinidad. And then there's like a small population of like Lebanese and like Chinese and people who do control a lot of large businesses. But it's the two main ethnic groups are Africans and Indians. And even the political scene are similar to America, Democratic and Republican, is based on the black and Indian parties even up to this day.
Wow, that's something I've never looked into.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for exposing that to me. This is something that I should most definitely look into and expose myself on, because it's I think I only focus on the tourism when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, the thing, and the racial groups in Trinidad, they always look back towards their ancestry. So like in Trinidad, there's a strong among the black people, like a strong looking towards West Africa. That's even how I first got my interest in traveling to Africa, which I finally first had a chance to do when I was in college. But we grew up in a culture where we talk about repatriation, going home. There's the Rastafarian community where that's one of the big tenets. And it's always there, like strong Orisha culture, Yoruba culture. There's a lot of African garment. And it's the same thing with the Indian people. They like are very strong about like Indian culture, and they go back to India. They keep a lot of the customs alive. So, even though Trinidad is his own place, a lot of people, they really look back towards their ancestry. I would say even to a stronger level than you would see amongst black Americans. I'm not stereotyping, because I think it had different phases in history where, black Americans, like, raising fists and they talk about going back to Africa. But really in the Caribbean, it's like a very major part of our culture, like that Pan-Africanism, Even just yesterday, I was looking at a short documentary about Stokely Carmichael. He's Trinidadian. And actually, apparently, he is the one who's credited with coining the term Black Power, which I didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah. So, he named himself Kwame Ture after Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Toure. Like, he merged their names. And that's how he renamed himself from Stokely Carmichael to Kwame Ture. So, he's one of our brightest citizens.
Yeah, awesome. So, thanks for that beautiful history lesson. And you've given me something that I'll use to. I'm definitely deep. I'll dig deeper into the TNT culture, and there's a lot for me to explore there, which goes beyond tourism and Sebastian in the Little Mermaid. So I found out not long ago that Sebastian was from Trinidad and Tobago. When we first watched Little Mermaid in Nigeria back in the early 90s, I think that was the first time I watched it. I think 1991. We just had that was that accent was Jamaican, right? That's it. We just said Jamaican, and that's all I went with until I think it was 2019 or 2018. Somebody said, that guy is from Trinidad. I was like, what? You mean my child was a lie? That's how I found out. So sticking with your childhood, what do you consider your favorite childhood memory?
Let me see. Interestingly, my favorite childhood memory I would say would be going to school and playing with friends because I said it kind of fleetingly, but the area that I grew up in, it was a very rough area. Like I grew up seeing a lot of crime, hearing about a lot of crime, like seeing a lot of violence. Even in my own household, I had like three uncles who were like drug addicts, So I kind of grew up in like surrounded right there in Trinidad. The education system we have over there, there's these national exams that everybody takes, and then you get placed in a school based on your score.
Oh,
So it's
something similar. I think it's a British.
it is based on the British system
British
here
system,
because
but
we
Nigeria has
were a
something
colony of
similar to that.
so it was the
Yeah.
O level. So the thing with that is that myself and my elder brother, we scored really high on those exams and were able to go to one of the best schools in Trinidad. So just having a chance to mix with kind of different people and start having like these different experiences, that stuck out with me to see some different parts of my country and just, have different things. I say like playing sports, having the chance to like travel around,
Yeah.
being in like the scouts, just learning new things. Because even the school I went to when I was younger was also like in a like, this crime-ridden area, So when I finally got to high school, which was around like age 11 or 12, it was a really big shift with like life experiences. So
Yeah.
I would say that's one thing that stuck out with me a lot growing up here.
So when you were playing in school, you mentioned sports, and I know one of the biggest sports in Trinidad and Tobago, unlike Nigeria, it's in parts of Nigeria. It used to be big, but not really. We used to consider it too bougie for most of us, so my generation. I still think people consider it bougie to this day. Is cricket for you guys? So did you play cricket?
I did play cricket here especially when I was growing up. And in the West Indies, we play as one team.
Yeah.
So the West Indies team was very dominant at that time when I was a young man. So it was like well followed. The game has changed a lot now, and the West Indies team isn't as good anymore. But it was like just imagine like growing up in Brazil when Brazil was on top of soccer, right?
Yes.
So that's what it was.
That's a good
The time when I was
comparison.
growing up, like the West Indies was on top of world cricket. We had a player called Brian Lara who like broke
everybody.
a lot of world records, and I was like fully aware to like know what was happening, So yeah, cricket was big. I think it's fizzled a little bit because the rules of the game also, it doesn't fit like modern sports because, there's one form of cricket where one match could take 5 days,
Oh,
Yeah, that's
but
called like test cricket. So you can
That's
imagine.
probably why you guys lost me there. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
you can
like-
imagine that's not gonna really fly with this generation, They even talking about shortening sports where it takes 2 hours, and you have a form of the sport that it takes 5 hours. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I can see why yes, some people say it's bougie because it is based on English culture. Instead of having like a halftime break, they have tea breaks, things like this. There's a break for afternoon tea, there's
Yeah.
lunch, so.
Yeah.
You dress in all white.
Yes.
It had like all the stuff that was like super bougie. Yeah. So I could see, where that would come from.
Yeah. By the time I made it to secondary school, it was they couldn't even afford the equipment for cricket.
Yeah, yeah.
So all we got was, Nigeria used to have a good cricket team in the 70s or whatever, and blah blah blah. We're gonna test you on that, but we're gonna play it. No, but we're gonna. I was like, man, I ain't interested.
I
in
think
this.
Kenya is like the
But-
one African country
Yeah.
that has like an active cricket team. So,
Yeah, Kenya and South Africa.
Oh, yeah, South Africa is
and, I think
dominant, yeah.
Zimbabwe might have something.
Yeah.
too. But
South Africa is
South
they
Africa
still
is-
heavyweights
yeah,
in the
they're
game.
heavyweight. But Kenya is
Sometimes,
like number
that
three.
country is so dominated by white people. Sometimes I forget about them when I'm talking about Africa because their whole cricket team is white.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
just
country
got
was something.
suspended by their sports minister because
Yeah.
of that, because they refused to.
So
integrate.
that's why I even thought of Kenya. I didn't even think of them, and they're like a really good.
the
cricket
same with
team.
Zimbabwe too.
Yeah, it's like
Zimbabwe's
all-white
team
players,
is
yeah?
like an all white.
Yeah.
And they've been waiting for them to force. They've been forcing them to like integrate the black players into their team. And it's like slow dragging. Like, come on, your rugby did it, your
Right,
other sports
yeah.
did it. It's just you guys were like, we can't find black
wanna
players.
keep this
like,
for
nah,
ourselves, yeah.
that's a lie. So yeah, Nigeria. But when I was 16, 17, I met two Sri Lankan brothers whose parents were working in Nigeria, and we were at some evening school program, and they were like, well, we wanted to play. We were like, oh, they were very rich kids at that program, and I was lucky that they put me in that program. And I was like, man, we're gonna play some sports. You guys don't play sports, and they're like, oh, okay, what shall we play? I was like, I got a football, man. I'll bring my football. Let's play. And those Sri Lankans like, man, we don't play that. We play cricket. Like, you know what? We equip everybody. We'll bring the equipment. We'll get everybody fitted to play. And they brought it, and everybody tried one day. We're like, what is this?
Right.
Everybody like, we throw. Nah, man, we're not doing this. We can't. We couldn't. That was the first and last time I played cricket, and yep, you couldn't drag me. I mean, you have to like bribe me, like give me good money, and yeah, I'll be there. But when I was in Bahrain, every vacant field that I saw
was cricket.
There were guys from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal. A few Arabs also played, but they occupied all the fields, any vacant field that you just saw. Those guys were there. I was like, man. Then the Cricket World Cup happened when I was there, and it was India Pakistan in the final.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is one of the craziest experiences. I thought soccer fans were wild, but when those two countries met in the final, you couldn't find any pub open.
Yeah, India versus Pakistan.
They're just showing that it was cricket. They were showing and I was so pissed. I was like, I want to watch soccer, man. But those guys were buying me drinks. So I was like, okay, I can't complain anymore. But yeah, so I gotta know when West Indies is playing, does it have this same effect like when Nigeria is playing soccer, where like almost the whole country shuts down during the World Cup?
There definitely was a time, as I said, in my childhood where when West Indies was playing, it was just the main event, because that was the most dominant sport, more than soccer, more than track, where the whole Caribbean was just like glued to their TV,
Wow.
Especially in the times of like Brand Lara, as I said, when he was breaking world records. It was just, everything on TV had to do with cricket there.
Yeah.
Stadiums were packed for all 5 days, every time there's a game.
Man, that's it. I mean, I would have loved to experience that in the stadium. Maybe my attitude would have changed if I had gone to the stadium to see that. But I can't imagine that.
Even one small last story about cricket. Before they had these digital scoreboards, it was like manual scoring, and they used to use school kids to do it. And I remember when I was in high school, I had a chance to do these scoreboards for one of the test matches. They like send us behind there, and then they would make the runs, and we had to like manually move the numbers. That was like a whole big thing, and it probably could end up on like TV.
Wow.
Do like an intermission where they like show the waving.
That's beautiful. So, when you got into the school with your elder brother, you said, right?
Yeah.
You left your part of town. Was it a different city you moved to?
It was in the capital, Port of Spain. Yeah.
Okay, Port of
But
Spain.
where I lived was on the outskirts of Port of Spain. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't a boarding school.
It wasn't a boarding school. No, we would travel back and forth every day. Yeah.
Okay, were boarding schools popular in your country?
Let me see. I think maybe only the university had boarding, but all the schools were day schools in Trinidad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have the boarding school system. And even growing up, we only had one university at that time. I think now there's a few, but when I was growing up, we had the University of West Indies, which was the only tertiary education institution.
Wow, I'm surprised. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I know I was because I know most of the former British colonies tend to have boarding schools, and that used to be another like highbrow type of schooling.
Yeah.
But it was also a place where, the discipline and all that.
Right.
But it's like if Catholics, Anglicans, all that, was another way of indoctrinating kids.
We had those schools in Trinidad, but they all still day schools.
They were day schools.
But there were a lot of
I think
Catholic
that's the
schools,
difference
Anglican
between,
schools,
you guys and us. Because I know Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, a whole lot of them had boarding schools. So it's another way you take the kids, put them
teach
there.
them about Christianity.
So but it was one way that kids from one part of the country, if you passed that test and you could get into a school in a different part of the country, and then you could just your parents had to worry about. In some places, if you got a scholarship, then all they had to worry about is paying for the transportation for you to get there.
But they would feed you, give you books and
Yeah, at the
everything.
boarding school, they fed you, got you books, but you still needed provisions like snacks and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, otherwise you're gonna come back still looking skinny. uh, what other stuff did you do for fun as a kid? I'm just curious to know, other than cricket.
Well, I didn't actually play much cricket. My sports were football, as we call it over there, and track.
And track.
I was a big runner, yeah. So and
Were you a sprinter or
I was a middle distance guy,
Middle
yeah.
distance.
15, 800.
Oh, yeah, you had
And I was actually better in track than soccer, but I like soccer more. But I
okay.
actually had more potential to like run probably for like Trinidad's maybe national team, you know. But because I was getting very serious in both sports, I had to make a decision. I just went with soccer because I like the sport more. But I think athletically, I had more potential as a track athlete, you know. Because the school I went to actually was one of the biggest athletic schools in the country too.
Yeah.
Like we put a lot of athletes on the national team, and even for soccer, we football, we had a lot of guys play nationals. So the sport program at that school was pretty strong.
Any popular name from the soccer side?
Let's see. From soccer, I mean, a lot of these are like historical names, but like Lincoln Phillips, who's considered like one of our greatest goalkeepers, went to like my school, and we had a couple others here. And as far as track athletes too, we had guys who won at least Olympic bronze, maybe Mark Burns. He was actually at the school when I was there. He was a 100-meter sprinter, yeah. So throughout the years, we consistently have guys, and Trinidad, our football team is now like blazing a big trail on the world stage. So a lot of these names are known more locally.
Yeah, Dwight York is still
Dwight York. So
most
the
popular
interesting thing with
star.
Dwight York is that even though I grew up in Trinidad, my mom is from Tobago.
Yeah.
So I'm like half Tobagonian, to say, So like Dwight York, let's say he represents that side of my family, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So
because the Trinidad and Tobago, just to clarify, is like it's two islands that make up one nation.
one nation.
Yeah. So Tobago is like very tiny compared to the mainland Trinidad.
Okay. Yeah. So, because when you say you run middle distance, and I was expecting sprint, because most Caribbeans is sprint.
Yeah, sprinting our thing.
It's like West Africa is sprint that is
Yeah.
our strength. Then East Africans are the long
Yeah,
middle
but I was
to
middle.
long distance.
I can't run like far.
Yeah.
But I have good stamina.
Okay.
So I think that's why I got like kind of in between. I could do like 4 laps like quickly,
All right. Yeah, because the moment I found athletics, I had no interest in for a period in time. Yeah, I still played soccer, but it was the dream was like, oh, if there was a genie that showed up and said, let me grant you 3 wishes, I'd have been like, put me 100 meters.
Yeah, sprint.
Because that was it. We all wanted to watch that 100 meters, be the fastest person in the world, or 200 meters. That was it. And 400 meters. We didn't care about 800.
Right.
We didn't care. And the funniest thing was that I think Nigeria's first individual sprint, individual medal will come from 800. And nobody was watching that race.
And that's where they finally won an Olympic medal, yeah.
The person who got the medal, I've forgotten her name. And when she got the medal, it was like everybody was waiting for the one, because we were all believing in 100. Because one time we were very good in 100, but we'll get to the final and finish 4th,
Right.
5th. I'm like, next one. And then it's like, oh, Nigeria got the medal. When?
Nobody
The race
saw,
hasn't
yeah.
happened. The race we expected hasn't happened. Like, oh, no, it was 800. What? Who that? Like, one girl
nobody
got-
watched it,
yeah. And man, it was terrible. I had to tell that woman. It wasn't like everybody cared. It was like, well, what about 400? What about 200? What about 100? You couldn't win there. You went and won 800. Like, man, you go run there and see if you can win. Nobody could get medals in those races. But Atlanta 96, someone finally got a medal in 200 meters. Miriam Yali, who's like our she was the equivalent of our Carl Lewis, because she had been around for a long time. I've forgotten the Jamaican woman who had been around for a long time too, and then switched to Slovenia.
Oh, yeah.
She
Right, they
was,
call her the bronze queen. Yeah, she won
yeah,
bronze so many times.
yeah, she won bronze a lot of times. I forgot her name, but then
Yeah, no, she's run for a European country.
then
Right
she,
there.
yeah,
Forgot her
she
name.
at her last legs, she ran for a European country, Slovenia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, Unyale was literally her. Unyale was a classmate of my older cousin, and it was her last Olympics. And she last sprint she got a bronze. Like, finally we got a medal, individual
The
medal.
sprints, yeah.
Yeah, well, but that was we were so obsessed with 100, 200,
400. Yeah.
and relays. Relays we also got medal at Atlanta '96, which was like our best Olympics. And after that, it just went downhill. That was it. It's like now South Africans can beat us in sprints. Ghanaians, we don't even talk to Ghanaians anymore. Like they beat us there. We'll go fight over jollof rice instead. We don't mention 100-meter sprinting anymore. Like, yeah, the guy from Namibia, Frankie Fredericks.
Yeah, Frankie
that
Fredericks,
dude,
that's good,
I think he's still, no, I think Nigerian broke his record. But
Fastest in Africa. Okay.
yeah, but he wasn't also treated right. Like Nigerians, when we just became soccer crazy, we just say we're not treating any other person good.
Right.
We
Just
don't
focus on
we
football
just
alone,
football,
right?
and we don't even spend the right money there. So the guy set the record for 100-meter sprint. We thought we were like, okay, we got somebody who's going to challenge Bolt. Yeah, the guy quit. He quit and he joined the British Navy.
Okay.
That's how frustrated he was. It was like, I'm out. I'm going to take care of my family. And moved to UK. Oh, man. So you finished secondary school in TNT. And while you were in secondary school, who were your inspirations? Because I have a feeling like, did you start to envision, even if you hadn't like seen where you were going in the future, like to be where you are today, but were there seeds that looking back were sown when you were in secondary school that you began to, see the path that you will end up in where you were today and where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up, as I said earlier, with my dad and my grandmother, and I've never seen my dad have a job for anybody my whole life. My dad has always been self-employed. So growing up, he had a business where he used to make incense, and he also used to make tonics and medicines for people, and he would walk around and sell.
Oh,
So
okay.
since we were little, we used to go around and sell with him. So he would sell the incense wholesale to stores, individuals, and like especially on Saturdays, that was like his main business day. He would travel around the country to where he had customers and sell them this incense, which they would resell in their stores, then sell cases of the tonic, which people would sell. So, I just grew up knowing seeing entrepreneurship, seeing that my dad earned all his money just off of all his strength. Like,
Yeah.
he would take me to the suppliers when he would buy stuff. Like, I learned the whole process of how to make incense, how to mix fragrances, how to make tonics and wines. And there was actually a time when the family started to split up, because when we migrated to America, we had to come in waves. So we all weren't able to come at the same time. And there was a time when my dad had to leave, which was in 99. And it was left with myself and my big brother. My younger brothers came, where we actually had to like earn income just to live in Trinidad.
Yeah.
So my dad wasn't wrong anymore, and I had to carry on the business. So I used to, while still going to school, of course, go to the suppliers, prepare all the stuff, and Saturdays go around and sell, And I was actually representing my team in football at that time, and there were times where, like, after a football game, I'd have to go home and get all the stuff and then go around and do all the business. That money I would use, I would give my grandmother some. We'd, just be able to eat, buy our stuff. So it's like I was thrust into the entrepreneurship, as a small family business, but this was how we sustained ourselves, So I came to America in 2001, so there was like a whole 2-year period where I was doing this for myself, Yeah, my older brother wasn't as businessman as myself, so most of it was my doing, but as I said, it was just kind of our family business that I was just thrust right into it. So, growing up, all I knew was hustling, doing business,
Wow. So that's fascinating. You were hardcore multitasking. And how old were you then?
when my dad left in 99, I was, let me see, 16 years old when he left here. Because when I came here, I was 18.
Okay.
So yeah, I was a teenager going around. And, you know, the interesting thing is that the communities we sold to were like, if to say like other dangerous communities too, you know?
Yeah, I'm not
It
surprised.
was, so I used to go to the other like ghetto areas, which was where our customers were. And, you know, just under God guidance, you know, all these years, you know, I never had any incidents,
No,
you know, in the street, you know?
but that's one thing, you got to know your market, you know your
Yeah.
audience, but you also got to partake in negotiating.
Yes, it had a lot of negotiating, a lot
So
of
you
peddling,
were in the manufacturing,
Yes.
you knew how to make the
the whole
product.
supply chain,
You were in the so you were the whole supply chain.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the business
But
part
it
too,
was
you know?
just, but probably you didn't. If you were asked at the age of 16 to 18, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't say supply chain. That's just the
Right.
difference between how we were
American
back then,
terms,
you know, and the present day. But it's just fascinating how, you know, looking back, you can see your experience, the beautiful stage. Yeah, it was dangerous people that you sold to, but in dangerous areas. But I won't say dangerous people, but in dangerous areas.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's still there's an economy in those
Yeah,
places.
yeah. I'd say that's just how we sustain, you know?
Yeah, and if people do not, someone has to supply there. And,
Someone
you
has to
and
supply,
So you feel the gap that was there.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot of economics too, right? Because, you know, I had to always make sure I had enough money to keep making more of the product, but then, you know, we had to eat too in the house, right?
Exactly.
So I had to buy groceries. I learned to cook that whole time. I just learned to budget money to take care of the family at that time. Because as I said, I did grow up in a house where a lot of my uncles were like drug addicts. And, you know, this is a house where your family would steal from you if you don't hide your money properly.
Trust
You know,
me,
so there's all these different things were being mitigated in that time, huh?
So you're not using a bank account.
Yeah, no.
But you have to come up with ways to hide money. And
Yeah, so it was a
me,
lot.
I have
A lot to learn in a short time. Yeah.
I wasn't the guy in an entrepreneurial phase like yours, but I understand 100% because I helped in other businesses of family members without getting paid, without being rewarded for my effort. So, but I also got to see the stealing from by other people. I had an older cousin who kind of sold in the same environment like you did,
Right.
but he was supposed to be a pastor, in quote, and he copied his friend who was a fellow pastor. We always saw this guy. He was a very smallish guy.
Lucrative business in the church.
Yeah, every night. But you see this guy, because every time you talk to this guy, it's like always Bible. He got to hit you with the Bible quote every time there's Bible. But so I was like, I don't like talking to this guy. Like he got to preach to me every time. Like, I don't need preaching. I just want to have a conversation. But every night, like 9 p.m., you see this guy leave the house with like two 25-liter jerry cans, and he's like he's probably like 5'5" or 5'4" if he was too tall, but he's small, and those jerry cans look huge, and he's always carrying them. 9 p.m. gonna leave the house. Like we are all. If you go fetch water, you fetch water and coming back home. You don't fetch water out of your house. You don't have a borehole in your house to take the water out. So where is he going with? And those jerry cans look plain.
Right.
So one night, and our guardian didn't allow us to leave the house. But I don't know how we did it. One night, we were able to sneak out of the house and follow this guy. And we followed him into the market, and he went past the market into the red light district that existed after the market. And then we saw that he handed the jerry cans to some ladies of the night. And we're like, oh, wow.
Yes.
So now the next day, we came up to him and like, hey, man, what's up? And then he wants to start preaching, but well, we don't need the Bible this time. We saw it last night, and we follow you. So what is that you do? He's like, oh, you could have just told me that. I supply the local, our equivalent of moonshine.
Yeah.
That's what he makes and goes to supply them
Right.
every night. And we're like, oh, but I thought you were a pastor, you preach all about, it's like, oh, I don't drink it. I supply them.
Right.
So now my cousin, who's the other pastor to be or want to be, says, I want to do the same business.
Right.
It's like, okay, I unlike some people who be like, you're the competition,
Right.
so I won't allow you come in. He's like, I'll show you how to make it.
Right.
I'll show you just provide the jerry can for yourself,
Right.
and I'll start you off.
Yeah, you
and
find
then,
some new customers, yeah.
and introduce you to, actually he introduced the guy to people who he sold to,
Okay.
and then you settle your price and all that.
Right.
And my cousin was like, okay, I have two younger cousins at home, so I can actually carry more
Right.
liters. So I can sell more than this guy. But now he just showed you the people he was sold to and was like, on your own.
Right.
And then we went with him. Now my cousin sees he's older because we do the age thing. That was the first mistake. He doesn't know how to negotiate. So he goes there. The women see him, they know he's a rookie.
Right.
They're like, hey. And now they start rubbing their body on
Right,
him.
right.
Hey, but your price is too expensive. Come on.
Right.
Give us discount now. We will buy more. We'll buy more. Instead of charging maybe 50 for one, give us 30. And he's like, this beautiful woman is touching me now.
Yeah.
He starts smiling and he forgets himself. And we, the younger ones, were like, what are you doing, man?
Right.
That's not the price. No.
Right,
You're going to
right.
pay us too because we walk like maybe 2 miles carrying this jerry cans.
Right.
We are sweating. Hell no. Well, he's like, shut up. I'm older than you. Don't talk now. Well, yes. Something like they start rubbing his cheeks. This guy just oh man. Oh, so the next day we're like, we're not coming with you.
Right.
Because he's like, okay, I'll pay you guys on the next. We're like, no. That's how it begins because we've all of our family members. They put us on hold.
Right.
We'll pay you, and then before you know, 3 months gone by, you
Right.
haven't been paid. So we're like, you the younger one. You're supposed to be on our side.
Right.
Stop doing this. And he's like, oh, don't worry, man. They'll pay me. And then before you know it, 5 people are owing him, 10 people are owing him. And
Business
then
fail, yeah.
he starts drinking the product,
Right.
which is the last, the no. And then,
Don't get high on your own supply.
yeah,
I love it, yeah.
it was totally, the business, he didn't last up to a year.
Oh, wow. Less than a year it crashed. Yeah.
It crashed. And but that guy, until I left that city, that guy was still in that business,
Yeah,
sustaining
moonshine, yeah.
himself. And I was like, hey, man, yep, that you could, my cousin, he just crashed. He crashed. He didn't get it. And
Yeah, it's not for everyone, you know?
it's not
Business
for
is not for
everyone.
everyone.
So you figured it out at a younger age, and so it was very impressive. And yeah, just had to put that there. People gotta know because there's an economy in those places to
Yeah.
be filled, to be serviced. But if you don't know what you're getting into, you just they're gonna use you.
Sharks will eat you up, yeah.
So we're gonna take a quick break, and we shall be right back to focus on you arriving in the United States. Hi everyone, your host Raphael Harry here. I can't believe we've gone past our 1-year anniversary of doing White Label American. I've had the privilege of speaking with some amazing people, sharing their modern day immigrant stories. And you've allowed this Nigerian immigrant to share parts of his immigrant journey through this podcast. Also, one of my goals of this podcast is breaking down artificial walls that keep people from getting to understand each other. Based on your wonderful feedback over the last year, I think we have done a decent job in breaking down some of those walls. We would like to continue and expand on this mission, but we need your help. I've had an amazing time creating and producing episodes for this show largely on my own. We have a lot of ideas for new and exciting content to expand upon the mission, but we need direct support from you, our listener, which is why we have created a White Label American Patreon page where you can make a one-time donation or become a sustaining contributor where you can get access to exclusive content, help me interview upcoming guests by submitting questions, and even have the chance to sit down with me for a one-on-one conversation, either virtually or in studio. So if this podcast means something to you, and if you really love this show, think about becoming a sustaining contributor and donating by going to patreon.com/whitelabelamericanpod. Thanks for listening and for the privilege of your company. So welcome back. And now we're going to jump into Sekou in America. Oh, I didn't even ask this question from the beginning. I should have started with this question. So sorry about that. Your name, Sekou, You know the meaning of your name?
Yeah, Sekou means a brave and astute warrior.
All right. And what is there a history to why you have that name?
Yeah, I'm named after the first president of Guinea, Sekou Touré.
All right.
And my middle name, Setandai, is my dad said around the time I was born, there was some like super large baby that was born in South Africa at the time that had that name, Setandai. It means we are blessed.
Oh,
So my full name means we are blessed by a brave and astute warrior. Yeah.
I love that. I've started asking about names lately because I know the meaning of all my names,
Okay.
but it was a guest from Haiti that told me about merging all the meaning of our names together. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know the meaning of all my names, but I just go by them separately as individual names. So I have to put all of them together now and into a sentence. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I have mine. We are blessed with a brave and astute warrior.
I love that. Yeah. So you arrived in the United States 2001.
2001, Friday, April 13th.
Wow.
Yes, I remember.
The other guest I've had, the first guest I've had on the podcast from TNT also arrived 2001.
Yeah, so I
But she
just
arrived
celebrated my 20th
one week
anniversary.
from September 11.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only difference between her.
Yeah, I came a few months before that happened. So I did have a chance to see the towers once.
Okay.
I got a free Circle Line ride around the city.
So
I remember seeing
New York
the
was your first port of call?
Yeah, when I first came, as I mentioned earlier, my family came in waves.
Yeah.
So I was the last one to come along with my big brother. And when I got there, my family, we were in Jamaica, Queens, living in a 1-bedroom attic. So it was my parents, my younger brother was just born in January of that year. So my parents were in the 1-bedroom with the baby. And then myself and my 4 brothers, we were in the living room. So that was all of us in as I said, it was like a 1-bedroom, like attic apartment in Queens. And then we moved from that apartment in July of that year. So we were just there a few months because I guess when my parents first got the apartment, it was just them and probably like my younger twin brothers. And then one of my other brothers came, and then the baby came, and then myself and my big brother came, and the people like, oh, we rented this because we thought it was just like a family of like 4 people, Now you all got like 8 people in the apartment,
Yeah.
So,
all right. So,
but then I've been in Brooklyn since July 2001 up until now, Brooklyn.
Wow. All right. So when you first arrived, was there any experience that was like your welcome to America or like a shock or?
Yeah, I just remember the first day I came, I guess it was springtime, April 13th. And I remember just the next morning, my dad was like, oh, I'm going to the supermarket to just get some stuff. And I saw him putting on jeans and socks and sneakers. So I was like, are you going like out, or are we going to the supermarket? Because I was 18 years old at the time. And to me, I know when you're going on the street, you have on your shorts and flip-flops and you're going barefoot. So I'm seeing him putting on jeans and socks and shoes. I'm like, whoa, is it like some event taking place? And you're like, no. In America, you got to put on socks and shoes to like, just walk barefoot out the house, And like, even like I would never put jeans on unless I was like going somewhere special in Trinidad, So that I was like, okay, this is a whole new scene out here. I mean, barefoot with shorts.
Yep. Like I think even in Port Harcourt where we had it was claimed that we love to dress up and go nowhere and just be in the hood. We don't normally even put on jeans just for the sake of it. We still, I mean, you can, even sometimes you might still see somebody with jeans, but it's like the jeans that's not really meant for going out.
Right.
So you can put on your flip flops and then just I'm hanging out with the boys, but you've showered, rub powder on your face and all that, and then come sit down outside in the evening. Somebody like, you want to go out? No, I'm not going anywhere. I don't have anywhere to go. But just come sit down with the boys. But I remember something like that because even after I arrived, I was 25 when I moved there, and my mom is like, we're going to grocery, and Yeah, I'm like, well, what am I wearing?
Right.
Yeah, that question. What am I wearing? She's like, yeah, he has jeans, and I'm like, why am I wearing jeans?
Right.
It's
Should
like,
be barefoot with shorts, yeah.
yeah, your jeans is like, you're going to a party or
Right.
something.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It's not like you're going grocery. Like, why would you wear jeans for that?
Like putting on socks. I was like, I think I had one pair of socks in Trinidad. To the supermarket. Yeah.
So how did New York life? How did you take to New York life?
Yeah, it was interesting time when I first came. When I got here, I just actually really had no plans or didn't know what I would do, you know? Yeah, so I got here, I think I had like $40 left from all my years of entrepreneurship in Trinidad, right? I
Hey,
think
still
I had
better.
240 TT, I changed it. It was 40 US, that's what I landed in this country with. And then I wasn't sure if I would want to work or pursue education. So, my family pressured me, they were like, all right, see if you could figure it out kind of thing, So kind of that's what I landed thinking about, like what direction I want to go. And I was open to anything. I was open to working to help the family or maybe, going to school if that would help.
Yeah.
So it kind of leads me into like the interesting story of like university. So in thinking about university education, nobody in my family before myself had gone to college. So I like just started looking in the yellow pages. It probably had the internet at that time. I didn't know much about it. I just knew about the yellow pages from Trinidad. So I looked in the yellow pages and I found two schools, St. John's University and Columbia University, which I had never had heard of. And then I looked and they had all the athletic offices. So I looked for St. John's, found these soccer coaches line, called and left a voicemail. Same thing for the Columbia coach, called, left a voicemail. Hi, my name is Sekou Cox. I'm 18 years old. I'm 170 pounds. I just came from Trinidad. I'm a very strong student and a good soccer player. And I think if you saw me play, you would be interested in having me play for your team. That was the message I left for both coaches, right?
Wow.
A few days later, my brother tells me somebody left a message for me. And it was the Columbia coach who had called back and said, hey, I heard a message. If you have a chance, call me back, right? And it so happened the second time I called, by some stroke of luck, he actually was in the office and he was able to answer. And I was like, yeah, I'm the guy who called some days ago. And then he told me that it was very lucky time that I called him because there's a NCAA rule where they have 1 day in the spring and 1 day in the fall where they have to allow walk-ons to join the team. So walk-ons are students at the school who, most of those college teams recruit, but they have to make a day where any student in the college is able to come and do a trial, right?
Yeah.
So it was walk-on day, was the Thursday. I was talking to him on Tuesday, and he was like, he wasn't really supposed to do it, but he would allow me to come and try out with the walk-ons that day. So if I could just find my way to Columbia Stadium, he would let me try out. I was like, all right, I'll do it. He gave me directions. I took the train all the way to 218th Street. I was really bad with the train. I could have taken the express all the way to 96, but I didn't know. So I took it local all the way up.
Hey, still better than me on my first train in New York.
Got there hours later. And it was for the Americans, it was a lovely spring day. It was late April. For me, I was freezing. I remember getting there in a hoodie and a jacket, 2 sweatpants, some socks, and then everybody was taking off their clothes. They were in shorts, and I was like, no, I'm just taking off my boots. And I put my cleats on. People you're not going to get undressed. I was like, no, I'm going to play like this, right? And then I was on the team with the scrubs, and there was the actual Columbia soccer team. So this was actually the first time I met this guy who I talked to on the phone once. I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm that Trinidad guy who you talking. I was like, all right, cool, just go and play with these guys here. And then, we played a little game. My dad actually came to watch me play that day. And then at the end of the little scrimmage, he was he asked me my SAT scores, and he was like, you know what, Sekou, I'm going to get you into Columbia next year. He said it very casually like that, right? And he said, and I kind of took it casually too, right? Because I was like, all right, cool. I just didn't know anything. And then I told my dad, I was like, yeah, the guy likes me. He said he'll get me in the school next year. And kind of started going around. I kept in touch with him, and I started to tell 1 or 2 people. I was like, hey, I went up to Columbia, and the coach said he's gonna like get me into the school next year, and like people were like kind of like amazed, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, is it a big deal kind of thing? And then kind of as time is passing, I'm getting to realize like Columbia is like one of the biggest schools like in the world, right?
Yes.
But the thing that I tell people about the story that's 100% true is that, at that time I didn't know the difference between a community college and an Ivy League school, a 4-year school, a bachelor's or master's. It was 100% just luck that I like put my finger on Columbia. Like it could have been St. Francis College, it could have been Kingsborough College. It just happened that was the first person I talked to, and they said they'll get me to school. Like this could have been a story of me talking to Medgar Evers, and the coach was like, okay, I'll get you next year, and then I would have gone to Medgar Evers. Yeah. It just so happened that it was Columbia University, So wow. I said like over the year, I got to realize Columbia was a real, good school, and there were so many funny other things happen. I remember like he gave me the application that, those brochures that they tell you to promote the school at the back has like a little application. I don't know if they still do that because they don't do like paper stuff anymore. It's like a brochure like learn about all our programs by the back. Like the last page had like an application like mail us in. And it's like you put your name and there's like a box where like your essay goes here. Like that was the application I filled in. Like I wrote my essay by hand in that little box and submitted that, and I got into Columbia with that application, I tell people a story all the time, and this it really happened to me, Wow. So that's how I ended up going to Columbia, yeah.
That is amazing. That's beautiful. But excuse me, that's no lie though. About I know when I first arrived, I didn't know anything about.
Yeah, I had no clue. Yeah,
the schools. When I was told, they gave me like 2 weeks of grace. My family was just like, welcome, show you some sights. And, all right, so what you want to do?
You're right.
I said, what? You gonna hustle? You can't be in the house. You gonna bring money or go to school? I said, okay, mom. Well, what's the school? I'm like, go figure it out.
Right. Yeah, that's where I was.
Like, I had the internet. Universities in Virginia, where I was. And whoa, they're like, man, this is a lot. It was gonna be like 2, 3 that would just pop up. There's universities, and there's universities in Maryland because I was I'm in the DMV area, so getting universities in DC, Maryland. I'm like, whoa, what is? And then the moment you do that search, then universities, the adverts start popping up too. And community, is it community you want? I'm like, what the hell is community? Right. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. Nobody. So that's why it was a lot easy for me when my cousin, because I was overwhelmed. And then I heard of student loans. I was like, what is student loans? Right. Then my cousin, who was in the Navy, just called me. As soon as they come, I was like, yeah, I'm out. This sounds like something that has a clear path for me. I'm just going to go there, then I can start figuring my way from there. But even then, I completely forgot about the whole university thing. So when I was in the Navy, if I had kept that in mind, I probably would have done a better job of knowing, community college, state schools, bachelor. So I would have done a better job of drawing the line. Okay, this is what I'll do. So I just kind of went along with it.
Right.
So even when I got out, and by then I'd gone in, when I finally fell into depression and then started going to school all over again, when I would end up in New York and I'll end up at Pace, it was later I found out I could have even gotten into Columbia because they were recruiting veterans to come to Columbia actively.
Yeah, but it's just ignorance at the time.
I was like, man, I was like, oh man, I already ruled myself out of that. But yeah, that's one reason why I'm glad you shared that story, and whoever's listening can use that to benefit themselves. And I tell people, actually, even people outside of America, like, hey, apply. Right. Just apply. What's the worst thing that can happen? Just apply. Because you never know. Some people ask me like, hey man, I'm looking for a scholarship. I say, hey, just go on the website.
Roll the dice.
Now it's a lot easier for you to access scholarships, unlike, back then when you had to write a letter and, go through a whole longer process. It's a lot easier nowadays. Yeah. So
more information is out there.
Yeah, so so I used my ignorance, the mistakes from my ignorance. I put it out there and say, I made the mistake, but you don't have to make that mistake. And I'm glad that you were on top of things from the beginning and got into Columbia.
I had some guidance.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Grace,
So you went through Colombia for your bachelor's, and were you ever tempted to go fully with soccer while you were at Colombia, or?
Yeah. At a time, maybe my junior year, there was like a discussion about if I should try to pursue like a pro career because I
Yeah.
was a 4 year letter winner, even though I walked on. I started my whole time, and I guess I feel like every college athlete maybe goes through this at some point, wondering if I want to try to pursue like a pro career. But I just kind of looked at how I feel like my life would go out, and I didn't feel like that was something for me. Maybe if I could have ended up being like how LeBron James is like a very vocal athlete, but I was saw myself as being able to do something more impactful.
Yeah.
As I felt like being a pro athlete seemed to me like very personable, like like I could get like rich by myself and like entertain sports fans. But I feel like I wanted to do more than that, not to sound heroic, but I did feel like I would be able to make money, but just have a more impactful life. So that's kind of like how I threw water on that.
All right. So when did you start to um, embrace the tech side and open the path of your current venture that you have?
Yeah, so when I graduated from Columbia, I studied economics. I actually became a teacher. So a lot of my classmates went into finance because it was just kind of like the thing happening. Because we're in New York, financial
Yes, it's a
capital.
big, yeah.
Studying economics, like I was highly recruited and even by like financial firms, but still tied to the same thing I said about soccer. Like I feel like I wanted to do something more impactful than being some type of like financial trader and building up some big company. So it was actually close to, and I'm gonna get to the tech part. It was close to my graduation where I saw one of those infomercials for New York City Teaching Fellows about it was the one where it said you remember your first grade teacher's name, who's gonna remember yours? So that was like their recruiting pitch. I was like, yeah, you know what? I do remember my first grade teacher's name. So like I applied to the thing and I got in. And right, I started even like a month after a graduation in their program because they had a program where they subsidize your master's degree.
Yeah.
And then they would start teaching in the fall. So even in June, I like started this program at Brooklyn College. And then I taught math for over 10 years right out of college. And it was a couple of years ago, about 5 years ago, my brothers, who they were science teachers at the time, we kind of put our heads together, just looking at some of the pain points we have in our teachers with technology and like engagement with kids. And, we came up with this idea to make a tool that would allow students to respond to questions in class with just on a watch. Because it had classroom clickers at that time where you could just respond to questions. But we wanted to put it in a watch because we also wanted to tie in like a health aspect. So we work with some developers and some manufacturers, and we like invented this this miniaturized classroom response system that also like allows students to track steps and sleep. So that was our first like dive into technology, and we had to resign from our teaching jobs to do it because there's a conflict of interest law that they have in for city jobs where this company that we make, we wouldn't be able to sell to any schools until 1 year passed after our resignation. As I said, I guess they say supposed to stop I know some type of corruption.
Yeah.
So we had to resign while we were like doing this thing and figure out how to survive for a year before we could actually sell to some schools. So that was our first foray into like the technology business here.
Wow. So what's the company called?
Our company is called Enjoy Tech USA. And since that time, we've actually evolved to do different things. So just seeing how hard the businesses to do business with schools is like slow to get paid. They're slow to adopt new technology.
Yeah.
We move towards more health focused products. So we created a watch that similar to the Apple Watch, it like tracks, does a lot with like movement tracking and stuff. But in response to COVID, we actually created a temperature monitoring feature in our watch, and then our watch does measures like blood oxygen and a few other things. So now our watch, and this is kind of like one vein of our company, Enjoy Tech Watch, it has like this remote monitoring system. So we're just like at a point right now where we're looking to expand partnerships like with schools or like elderly populations. But it's a watch where it helps the users like track their health metrics because the watch automatically tracks all the metrics, but it also allows like a caretaker or like an administrator to like remotely monitor. So as a like example use cases that a school could give the watches to all the students.
Yeah.
And then the school nurse will be able to monitor the kids' temperatures just by going on an iPad or laptop. Or the same thing if you give it to like elderly people, you could see if they have a spike in heart rate or like a change in their temperature. So
Yeah.
that's our new tool that we're like launching. One other party business that I do want to mention is that while we were like doing all this bootstrapping, because our company, it does take a lot of like R&D to develop the hardware that we do, and then we do all our software in-house. But part of it is that I started to do like freelancing as a like individual developer, and that part of the business actually became very robust. So now we have one side of our business that's just IT development. So we started off doing like apps and websites for like individuals, but now we are aiming to work with more small businesses, and like we're trying to get contracts with like city and federal agencies because we have like a minority business enterprise certificate. So we're now actively trying to get contracts to work with, I say the city agency, whether it's Department of Health or Department of Education, Sanitation, so on and so forth, and like some of the federal agencies such as, let's say, Department of Defense or Housing. So this is kind of like where our business is right now, like transitioning to work on those type of contracts here. So the Enjoy Tech Web, that's like our IT side.
Yeah.
The Enjoy Tech Watch is our like health tech side.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the company, as I said, is Enjoy Tech USA, is the parent company. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's after Dr. Shafi, Professor Shafi, who's one of the top surgeons in the UK. He's been on the podcast.
Okay.
He's a guy who, in healthcare, he loves merging tech with healthcare.
Okay.
So he's a guy I need to introduce you to.
Oh yeah, sounds interesting. Yeah.
He's I think he was the first guy to perform a surgery using Google glasses.
Okay.
But he just loves doing tech. Like, it was on national TV in the UK. Yeah, so he loves
Innovative,
the idea of the watch is something that would interest him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll connect you guys. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy, but he loves the idea of using tech to better healthcare.
Health outcomes, yeah.
And and also taking it to lesser developed countries because he has connections in many of those places too. So yeah, that's how I try to help
make
people,
connections,
make
right?
connections with people. Just need to start getting paid on that one day.
Finder's fee, right?
Oh man, I love what you guys do. But so for the watches, is it only available at the on a wholesale scale, or is it available to individuals?
Yeah, when we
watches?
first started, it was direct to consumer, where we had a website and we wanted to sell it as an individual product. But I think now we are focused more on this enterprise business, so we do want to focus on that.
Okay.
But it did start off as something that we wanted to sell, like how Apple Watch sells to individuals, but realized that we needed to make a pivot to differentiate ourselves. So
all right,
it is focused on either working with schools or enterprises, insurance companies, and as I say, business partners.
Okay. All right. So I have to wait a little bit before I can get one.
No, I hook you up right now. You get a watch tomorrow.
Hey, okay.
If we had talk in advance, I'd have brought it with me today.
No worries. I just had to try that. Okay. So you're also working on your doctorate. At the same time, you're also a dad. It's like, man, how do you make time for yourself to relax?
Yeah, so I have a body double, and the body double, he goes out some days, and then I go out some days.
Okay, no. we'll delete that part out. We don't want to give the secret out.
But but people ask me all the time, and I think the way I get through is that most of the things that I'm into,
yes,
I take it as recreation. I do enjoy working on my business. Good. The time with my kids, I really enjoy it a lot. Like like I like to take them to see different parts of the city. So it's also me enjoying it, right?
Yes.
Or when I'm doing my doctoral work, I'm reading things that I'm interested in. You know, I do like to work out a good bit. So, you know, for me, that's fun to like play a soccer game, go
Yeah.
exercise. So
So what's your what is your doctorate on?
it's in mathematics education. Yeah.
Oh man, this guy. This guy.
And I actually started at NYU. I was there at NYU for a few years. I just transferred into Teachers College Columbia this past fall. So I have about 2 or 3 years left.
In Yoruba, they will say efiko, omo efiko. That's Yoruba. I'm not Yoruba, but in Yoruba, they will say omo efiko. That's the guy who's like, he literally carries the books on his head. That's nah, it's just no, but that's good. That's good. That's good. Now, I like that the way you said it, as in you enjoy what you do. It speaks to self-care.
Right.
It's a form of self-care too, because too many people approach everything. If you're approaching it as work, work, it's not self-care. It's not wellness.
It's weighing it down.
Yeah. It starts to become a burden to you.
Right.
So yeah, it's something that I appreciate hearing, and I love it, because the vibes that's coming from you, it's just it's good vibes. It's good vibes, bro.
Yeah, well, I do make some time for meditation. I think that's a big thing that I have to say. Like
Awesome.
It helps me ground and settle my energies. So it's something I've been doing more in the past few months and years.
Awesome.
I think the thing with meditation, not like I'm like trying to sell it, but it's one of those things where you see the effects, you don't see it directly. So because a lot of things we're accustomed to in life in the West, you can see like a direct effect, right? Like if I go to the gym and lift weights, I can see like my muscles getting bigger. Or if I do a business, you can see a bank account getting bigger, or like a lot of things we engage in, eating and drinking, you see the direct effect. The thing with what I realized with meditation is like, you sit and meditate, it's not like maybe something changes with your skin or you like start levitating, but you see it affects other parts of your life. The effects are very subtle. So even something like my attitude towards how I engage in things, I said, whether it's finding enjoyment in different activities, I know that's coming from just my mind being settled, or the way I react to things. When I look at how I react to things now compared to years ago, so I know all those are like part of these effects,
Yes.
So that's why I think it's important that I do continue to keep a regular practice that way, as I said, because I see that affecting all parts of my life.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a man who believes in therapy, and I use it. I'm still in therapy right now, and it's the same thing. It's not something that I don't approach it like I have to. It's like I have a headache and I take a pill and automatically the pain goes away. No, it's something that is for making me feel better, but not like right away. It's for the long run. And the more I use it, the more I see changes down the line, or like someone interacts with me, like, oh man, there's something different about you. And there's sometimes I look in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, my skin is glowing. I don't know, but it's glowing. And I praise myself now. Before I would have been, I'm not going to praise myself.
Right.
But yeah, I don't mind praising myself now. I deserve to praise myself too. So call it what it is. But yeah, it's good. But I encourage people to get therapy, and meditation is also a form of therapy too. So yeah, but have to begin to start wrapping this up. But we can't wrap this up without getting to two fun topics. And let me see, which one should I go to first? Okay, I will do this one first. You're in New York. You've been in New York for a long time. You came from TNT. Both places have some good stuff when it comes to food. So, when it comes to food, where does your favorite come from?
Oh yeah, Trini food. My friends know there's this thing we haven't shared that called doubles.
Doubles.
The thing is that I love doubles so much that I'm very disappointed in New York here.
Oh man!
Even yesterday morning,
this is first.
This is truth. Yesterday morning, I was talking to two of my friends from Trinidad who know me really well. I bought 3 doubles yesterday, and I had to throw away 2 of them.
Oh wow!
And my friends say, Sekou, you will never learn. You know you don't like doubles in America. Why do you keep buying it? It's like it's like that guy who's like a sucker for love. Who like, it's like, yeah, I'm not lucky, but I'll try. It's the same thing with doubles. I'm always like, maybe it's gonna be better this time. because my friends know when I land in Trinidad, they
Yeah.
go straight to the doubles, man. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if you know what doubles is,
I
but it's
don't.
a street food we have. For those who know what it is, like 2 flatbreads, and there's chickpea in it, and then we have all these sauces they put in it, and they just can't do the same here in America.
Oh,
So
man.
I'm
Now,
suffering.
now I'm afraid. Yeah, okay, I have to.
I mean, if you're from America,
I
it's
can't
nice.
try the doubles here. I have to go until I get to
Yeah, I mean, the ones here is
try
good
the
if you
one
don't know
there.
better. If you don't know any better, it's fine.
I don't want to be that guy now, because if I tried the one here, I probably would have been like, "Oh man, I love doubles.
Yeah.
Doubles is great." And you're gonna be looking at me like, "This guy he doesn't know."
Well, even in
doesn't.
Trinidad, I don't eat every doubles too. I'm like a harsh doubles critic in Trinidad. Like I'm like, no.
Wait. So are there differences between doubles?
100% there's differences. All different parts of the country, people make doubles different. There's certain people their chickpea is good. Their masalas are good.
So which part of Trinidad has the best doubles?
I mean, I don't want to sound anything controversial if there's
You
certain
got
shitty
to.
people
Oh,
listening.
it's too late now. You've opened the Pandora's box. It's too late. You got to.
But in Europe, that's one part in Trinidad where they have a rep for some, some good doubles, and then on the highway by Aruca, they have some good doubles out here. That's the place where, like, when my airplane lands,
Yeah.
my friends pick me up. We go right to Aruca, get some doubles before we do anything else. Before we offload suitcases, take a shower, so.
Okay. And that's like street food?
Yeah, get on the street.
Because I love street food.
Yeah, doubles. It's actually no good to like buy it and take it to your house. You have to stand there. They make it for you, hold it in your hand, and you stand and eat. That's the essence of doubles. The minute you have to like wrap it and take it to go, it's no good anymore. It expires immediately.
Okay, that sounds like my kind of food.
Yeah, you got to stand up there where it's burning in your hand.
Yeah.
And eat it on foot. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I think
anything else is blasphemy.
Oh wow. This is not what I was expecting. But okay. Yeah, we don't need American doubles anymore.
No.
We're going straight to Trinidad. All right. Next one, music. Now I know you guys got some hot music. You got hot musicians there. It's not like Jamaica that got some hot musicians. No offense, Jamaica. I love all of them. This is not Jamaica's time, so go sit down in one corner, Jamaica. But when it comes to music, New York also got great music too. So you can, Brooklyn got great music. Everywhere got great music. So if you need to be dancing for an hour, who are the 3 artists that you go to right now?
All right. As a Trinidad, I know I had to say something controversial here.
Yeah, you already opened
not Jamaican
that gate's open right now. So.
Yeah, because one of the first things I said when we were talking was just my love for this idea, like repatriation, going back to Africa.
Yeah.
So interestingly, even though I grew up in Trinidad, I grew up listening more to reggae music because my dad was Rastafarian.
Yeah.
Back when it was like a whole outcast in society to be Rastafarian. So I grew up listening to reggae music,
Mm-hmm.
So like one of my favorite artists is like Sizzla and, artists like Sizzla, Capital, and Lucian. They actually are the ones who inspired me to like want to go to Africa, right? So, Trinidad, we have our music, soca music. I'm a big supporter of soca.
Yeah.
Marshall Montana is the greatest, the GOAT of soca. And the thing with soca music, to me, is just, it's very contextual. It has to be like a party, or you have to be exercising, or it has to be carnival.
Yeah.
I like reggae music because of the message it sends.
Yes.
So honestly, I would default to reggae. Like if I'm listening to music in the car, it had to be like some Sizzla, some Burning Spear, something old school,
Yeah.
And I don't even look at it like that's Jamaican stuff. I'm like, there's Caribbean stuff.
Yeah.
They are the message I like.
I mean, I
that's what I'm rocking.
I call
with
it African stuff, to be
right?
honest.
Yeah, because it all comes. It
Like
drips on,
Lucky
right?
Dube.
Lucky Dube, you know what I mean?
You can't just claim, you can't just tag him South African.
No.
It's reggae, is everything.
Yeah. So but I grew up with a decent amount of hip hop too. In Trinidad, we had the American influence. I grew up listening to a good bit of Jay-Z, over there. But I definitely probably would like be, if I had to bump for it, probably be something like reggae, like. Right. Even growing up, the few times I had a chance to like party, it was like reggae parties,
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I know until maturity, So.
Hey, no lie, man. If reggae, I can leave reggae on all day.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the brand, the genre of music that can carry me, even the African hip hop, I don't call it Afrobeats, because it's not Afrobeat to me. But
Right, like the hip life, yeah, and
I get why it's called Afrobeat now. But it's not. All the other music I can do it for like a couple of hours.
right.
But
A way of.
reggae is it doesn't.
Yeah,
fit.
that's the kind of stuff. No
It
matter
just
who's
goes.
sitting in the car,
Yeah.
you could put on some Bob Marley.
Yeah.
You know, there's some other music that when my kids in the car, I'd change the station.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
yeah. That's another thing too.
you know, or like I'm talking about if I have a white person, a man, a woman, a child. If I put on Bob Marley, everybody can listen to that. The other music,
any
I
reggae,
like.
I leave reggae.
Yeah,
there,
the other
like,
one, you had to like look at your audience and figure out, all right, who's here, what should I play, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I know that that's
if you don't like reggae, your racism is too high.
Right, yeah.
It's too high. Yeah, your racism is just
right.
we can't
kill you.
save you.
Yeah,
we can't save you
yeah.
anymore. Just you know who to vote
Just
for.
go on, yeah.
That's it. All right. So well, before I ask the final question, just one quick answer. You visited Africa, right? You visited Africa once?
Numerous times.
Numerous times? Okay. Well, your first visit to Africa, where was it to?
First visit to Africa was 2005 when I was in study abroad in Ghana. I stayed there for 5 months, yes.
In one sentence, what was that experience? First, when you got out of the plane, what was that like? Oh, how will you summarize the whole experience?
Yeah, it definitely, it just felt like my whole life was leading up to that moment. Like, it was, yeah, more than a life dream. I don't know what to say. It was like a genie just let me do what I want, you know?
Okay.
And one interesting story I'll tell about Ghana too,
Yeah.
because it ties into what I was saying about the music. I said I grew up, you know, here in Sizzler, saying we had to go back to Africa, here in Cape saying, and one of my trips to Ghana for Ghana independence, I actually had a chance to see Sizzler perform in Ghana.
Oh, wow.
And that
okay.
that's like,
Okay.
I don't even know how to kind of describe
It's
that.
no
you
longer
know?
controversial. That
Yeah,
moves-
I don't know how to describe that.
You bounce back from the controversial. It's
Yeah,
no longer. All right, Jamaica, we're back on track. You know, we're good.
Yeah, you had allowed me to say
Vaccine.
one more thing about Africa because I would have said that seeing Sizzler in Ghana is my top, but I had a chance to see Miriam Makeba perform in South Africa.
Oh, this
So
guy.
that, you know,
this guy, calm
that's
down,
the
man.
only thing
This guy,
to beat Sizzler in
this guy
Ghana.
what next? You gonna say you shook hands with Nelson Mandela? Man, this guy is doing just too much, man. You're gonna make me jealous now. Just calm down. You saw my grandmother. That's my grandmother. She didn't know she had a grandson like me. But, you know, it's something we like to keep as a secret, but you know, I love that woman, man. She that's I don't do concerts, by the way, but it's something.
Yeah, and that was totally random.
I just, oh man, the person I interviewed yesterday got to meet Hugh Masakela, and then you got to meet Miriam Makeba. Then I wonder who the next person going to meet now. That next person is under pressure. Next person come on the podcast, you know what to do. If you don't meet any, you know,
They probably saw Michael Jackson.
Just keep the music question if you don't.
Right. If you didn't meet Michael Jackson, then don't answer.
Oh man, Sekou, I appreciate you for coming on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been fun. We got to do the part 2. We're gonna focus on your trip around Africa, all the countries you visited. That's gonna be the part 2. Most definitely, we're gonna do. And final question: what would you like to leave the audience with? You know, it could be a freestyle, could be a quote from a book you've read, a line from a song, or maybe one of his last songs. You know, hey, it's up to you. But something you'd like to leave the audience with.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking about this in advance, but I mean, I know this is, as a city, white label American, so I guess when I think about it, if it's other people similar to me, is, you know, it might be like a cliche, but just, you know, pursue whatever you want to pursue, you know, and just always believe in yourself. That's the main thing. Because what I've seen is that when you believe in yourself, like amazing things happen. You know, you want to get help from people and networking and all that thing is good, but it really comes down to yourself. And what I realize is that the universe or God or whatever you believe in, you just see things happening to guide your steps. So that's the main thing I'll keep saying, because no matter how good things go in, you know, doubt always creeps in. So just always keep that belief, keep that faith that however it's working out is how it has to work out, you know, and then the universe will conspire to help you.
It's awesome. I have to agree with that. All right, brother, please, if people want to find Enjoy Tech and yourself, how can they reach out and where do they go to?
Yeah, Enjoy Tech web .com or enjoytechwatch.com, like very straightforward. And from there, all the contact information, to get in touch with me is there. And that's how a lot of people find me on the internet,
All right.
Then I'm on LinkedIn, Sekou Cox. But yeah, enjoytechweb.com, enjoytechwatch.com, and you can see all the great work that we're doing.
Awesome. And I'll add all that in the show notes so you guys can reach out and make sure you get in touch. He's a great guy, simple guy, it's fantastic to get in touch with and talk to. So thank you all for listening to this episode. Don't forget to come back next week. And don't forget to keep the love coming in, subscribe, share, buy t-shirts, do all what you got to do. Thank you for the privilege of your company. See you next week. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.